Hello. Vishal sir, your audio is not coming. Hello, Vishal sir, your audio is not coming. Hello everyone, am I audible? Participants?
आइए बिल्कुल बिल्कुल मेरे इसके लिए हाँ जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल एक मीटिंग है श्योर
Hello.
Yes, Vishal sir.
Yes.
Very good afternoon to all of you. We welcome Mr. Vishal Sarvaiya on behalf of Saurashtra University and Institutions Innovation Council. Uh, I would like to now hand over the session to Vishal Sarvaiya sir. I have already introduced as Sir is the founder and managing director of Srivam Srivam Industries Rajkot. Sir is also external expert of IIC Saurashtra University. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Yeah, very good afternoon. You are audible, sir.
Yes. Just a brief introduction of myself. I'm into manufacturing of chemicals, mainly water treatment chemicals, having 3 manufacturing units, 2 here itself at Rajkot and 1 in the northeast state of Tripura. And I'm also associated with GTU as a jury member for SSIP and IPS trainings, and also member of Board of Studies at Marwadi University and Darshan University. And also, I happen to be the president of Rotary Club of Rajkot Prime, in which we do have so many entrepreneurial activities in our club. So, thank you, IIC, thank you, Saurashtra University and Parth sir for inviting me for this session. So, we're talking about entrepreneurial ecosystem. That's a very, very big topic and a very vast, broad topic. So, we need to select only one point when we have got 1.5 hours. That we cannot talk about each and everything about the entrepreneurship in such a small, time frame. So, I'll today talk about the finance needs and funding requirements of this entrepreneurs, startups, and scale ups, and we'll also talk a lot of negative things. I repeat, I'll talk a lot of negative things also that is ongoing in the Indian startup ecosystem, because when we say startup and the government is, helping so much, and there are so many VCs and funding agencies which are into market, so that also spoils the market. When you have too much of abundance of anything, that really spoils the market. So first of all, we'll move ahead with understanding the funding needs. Shall I share my screen or? So most of startups fail to understand the definition of the need of their funds. Any startup would like to have crores and crores of rupees, no matter how much do they need, how much small or bigger their need is. They don't know how to define the real need of the fund. So that is the main thing that is lacking in today's entrepreneurs, because it is really a myth with everyone that more money will bring more growth. That is nothing like that. Money comes, every penny comes with a cost. So the money that you borrow or that someone else is in. Parth sir, if you can help me share my PPT from my screen. So it's a very common myth amongst the startups that if they get 10 crore rupees, they will be able to grow and they will be able to develop to a newer scale. But it's not really like that, because most of time they fail to define what the real need is. When we say real need, then they talk about when someone is starting a software company, a startup, then as an entrepreneur, they would define their need as a lavish office, which is really not needed in the starting. But then they would say that they need to hire some managers, good quality software developers who would look for the ambience before joining the thing. But that again is not the real definition of the need of the fund, because when we buy something, when we take funds from the VCs or any of the financiers or any of the bankers, that comes with an interest cost or the opportunity cost or the cost of sharing of profit. It's not that you are getting just a free fund from anywhere. So first of all, to each and every entrepreneurs, they need to define the need, then size of the funds required, because it should be in scale 1, scale 2, growth scale 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be planned phase. You need 10 crore rupees in next 5 years, and if you borrow it in today itself, then the cost for that fund is has started from today itself. So you need to also define the scale and size, when and where you will require the fund, how much fund will be required at which stage. You do not need to take whole money in one single stage. You can have stages of funding rounds. So you also need to define the size of the funds. And again, the utilization of fund. It should not at all deviate from what you have really thought about. Most of time it happens that people have taken the fund of 10 crore rupees for developing the software, and they are utilizing half of it for developing a good office, or maybe to acquire some good talent, which is may not be the requirement at that point of time. So it should also be noted that the utilization of fund should be as per the plans that was initial plan, because when someone is investing in your startup, they are expecting a good quantity of returns. And when I'll again connect with so many types of fundings and everything in later stage. But then one thing is very much sure, that you don't need to take the fund in bulk or without any utilization and without the real need. Again, people are nowadays thinking that banks are not the real, financiers are not the right choice to get the funding from, because they would uh, have your documents in your assets as a mortgage in their file, in their books, and then they may come to your home, they may seize your property. But it is not like that. Bankers are the safest funding agencies that Indian market has ever seen, because when you fall for an angel investor or VC funding, then they are very, conscious about the branding of the company. They don't think about what you are going to do further or what is your future for with the company. What they think is only about their own business value, not the your entrepreneur's business value. Again, there are also 2 3 definitions of an entrepreneur. Earlier we used to say someone who can sell ice in Himalaya is a real entrepreneur, is the real businessman. But it is not real like that. I would say entrepreneur is a person who would first look at the need of the thing, need of the product or the service, and then will pitch for that product or service well it is really required, or if it is not required, then also you can create a need, but not unnecessary creation of need, like selling ice in Himalayas. No, that is not the real entrepreneur, what an entrepreneur would do. As I said, there is no free lunch. So when you say types of fundings, I would come about bootstrapping. That is really the easiest and the safest way. Bootstrapping means your own funds that you are going to invest for your own startup, not taking funds from anyone else. And really, someone should really start from bootstrapping only, rather than directly going for any of the other sources of funds. So there are also pros and cons for each and everything. For bootstrapping, you are always looking for your own fund, and the growth scale is very much limited because everyone's fund requirement is much more, and their funds on hand or the finance on hand is very much less. So bootstrapping for initial startups, I would say bootstrapping is the best option. You should not go out for the funds. When you develop a scale, when you are a startup, then you want to scale up, then you should go for the funding, because generally it is seen that funding required by a startup is much more costlier than funding required by a scale up. Because when as a startup, if you the risk factor is really very high, so when some investors comes in, then they would ask for high returns or maybe some more equity in the shares, in the equity in the your company. But whereas when you are going to scale up, when you have developed to one level, and then when you are asking for a scale up fund, then they may not be asking for as that much of the equity or as that much of the percentage share in your this thing in your company. So second best option is you can go for friends and family and crowdfunding. So you can ask for the money to whom you know. So again, this is a very critical thing. Most of startups happen to emerge from earlier. Nowadays, there are a lot of angel investors in who are dropping in and popping in the funds. But earlier, this was the best source of growth. That if someone wanted, see Morbi style, if someone wants to grow, someone wants to develop a ceramic unit, then what would they do? They would ask their friends and family, to 10 or 12 friends would get together, and then they would start up a whole new unit. Again, that is really the right thing someone could have done, because you don't have again the interest botheration on the funds that you are having, because all the funds comes from the family or the friends, and they are getting the shares from that. So that is also a good option. Even if you don't ask them for the share, or you don't go for the shareholding pattern, then also these funds are like very suitable for a small scale entrepreneurs, because these are the people who are going to trust you, and once they invest in your company or they do not, you would come to know what is your value in your family or within your friend circles. So there is again no such part of mortgaging the things, property or any such kind of things when you get funding from friends and family. At the most, what you need to get them is a blank check or a dated, post dated check for that amount. So again, you are at less risk when you get it from friends and family. Again, one of the very traditional sources of loans is bank loan. I would say if you are into a business where the business is less risky, when I say risky, is risky in terms of the growth or the stability of the company. When it is less risky, someone should always go for bank loan, because bank loans are typically the easiest kind of and the cheapest kind of fund available right now in the market. 8 to 9% is the current ongoing rates, which is really very, very great rate at which you can get the funding. But the limitation in the bank funding is that they mostly give 70 50 to 200% of your asset value, not more than that. So if you have a small office and if you want to have a turnover of crores of rupees, then you may not get enough of the funding from the banks. So then you need to move to business incubators. Again, there are other types of investors known as entrepreneurs, already existing entrepreneurs who are acting as investors in someone else's firm. This trend is very fastly, rapidly growing here in Gujarat. That someone who is doing very well in their own enterprise are now investing in other enterprises and are investing the funds in other startups and are acting as an incubator or investors to others. This is really good, but again, the complexity is very less because they are not much into the funding business, so they don't know what to check and what not. What they will see is the business idea and the promoter, not the long-term growth strategies and everything. But again, the being less complex, but there will always be a limitation of fund because they are also a business person. They also have need of funds in their own businesses, so they may not be able to invest again and again repeatedly in your own business. When you have asked for 1 crore, they will be able to invest 1 crore, but then when you need another 1 crore for another growth level 2, but at that time they may not be able to pour in the money that you need. So sometimes it happens that such entrepreneurs and investors can be a good guide, good friend, and a small time investor, but not for a long term investor. Then comes the business incubators. These are really one of the most growing segment. I would say is not the software, not the banking, but the business incubation thing is the most booming business throughout India right now. We have got so many accelerators, incubators, investors, and fraternity of investors. A small time business incubator type of thing also being developed here in Rajkot named Corporate Connections, also in so many other cities as well, where corporate entrepreneurs act as an investor. And when we talk about business incubators at larger scale, then there are so many pros and cons in the business incubate taking funds from such kind of incubators. So again, angel investors, there is very thin line of difference between angel investor or venture capitalist or in business accelerators. But again, all these funds come with a very high return ratio because what they eye they are eyeing only and only on the returns they are going to get at shorter term and longer term. Many times we have seen that big giants like Swiggy and Zomato and Flipkart, even though making losses of thousands of crores, they are growing day by day. But again, as a part of investment, that is a really good business that I'm investing in Zomato, I'm buying the whole Zomato thing, or I'm buying the whole Flipkart and selling it to someone else. So as an investor, trading of the companies, when you trade the companies, not the products or services of that company, then investors are enjoying very high earning because they can purchase Flipkart at 80,000 crores or 1 lakh thousand crore or any such 1 lakh crore or maybe any huge amount, and they would sell it at least 20-25% at the higher amount of what they have spent. But after all, the business is at loss. When we say Flipkart, then again today it is standing at a loss of 30,000 crores or more than that. So we as an entrepreneur need to understand the kind of investment we are looking for. If the angel investor is only interested in taking our firm and selling it to someone else for just for their own business purpose or just for their own margin purpose, then that should not the thing. That should not be the thing. We should really understand it is not like they need us or we need them. It is a mutual relationship. So we should, as they would take our interview or they would ask us for pitching of our product in front of them, we can also ask them to make us give us a realistic list of what they would be helping us for and what not. And if their idea is only and only for short-term investment and branding, building the brand value and then selling the brand to someone else, then we should not go for such kind of investors. Good thing about angel investors and venture capitalists and business accelerators and incubators is they check each and everything of your company very minutely, very minorly. So when you have not even thought in, if you are into business of preparation of ice cream and selling throughout Gujarat, then you don't even know what is the packaging cost of only lead if someone takes for the parcel. And they are in such in-depth studies that what would be the cost of spoons that comes along with each and every ice cream. What if someone asks for an extra spoon, or what if someone is taking ice cream home and would say that we don't need spoons as we are taking it to home. So just giving you a very small example that they do in-depth analysis for so many things that we would have never thought about. So we should really, when we are in good terms with such investors, we should speak our heart out that what is the product that we want to offer, what is the growth story we are looking for, and we should always show them the realistic point. So if we need any kind of suggestions or their interruptions in market development or market penetration or branding, product development, then they would be the right people to help us out. A individual entrepreneur might not be able to think in 360 degree. His vision may be limited to 180 degrees. So such kind of investors would come up with a vision, a long-term growth vision. If you would say that I want to flourish to whole Gujarat region within 1 month and to Maharashtra in next month, then the idea of an angel investor would be to grow to whole all India in 1 month or maybe 1 quarter. So that is why we need angel investors or venture capitalists who would not just help us with the funds but also help us with glorifying our vision, or maybe we could say our horizon will be much more bigger than what we used to think on our own. Individual entrepreneurs thinking is very much limited. When a group of people would come, then they would really have a nice broad vision. Again, good thing about this VCs and AIs is that they keep everything recorded. So from day one, we will be in a position that we will be maintaining records. Generally, it is seen in small scale entrepreneurs or small scale businesses. They don't have paperwork documentation in correct places, or they don't this record each and every transaction. So these kind of people help us in defining the process, not just the business, but they also help us defining the process. If someone takes the leave for 1 day, should we deduct their money or not? Should we deduct their salary, or should we give them grace of 1 day or 2 days every month? So these are the minute things they would be checking in our firm, and they would be helping us to design and define the things. Again, most of VCs come with an director that could be appointed in our firm. So good and bad thing both, that they would never give you full control of your own firm. When I said I would say some bad things, that is really a heartbreaking thing for an entrepreneur, that they think that this is my venture. But when we see in realistic scenario, if you have taken much more funding from the this VCs, they would be appointing a director in your company who would be the signing authority, not you. Sooner or later, you would come to an thing that you would come to a feeling that it will give you a feeling that you are doing a job, not you are not an entrepreneur. So it should not be in that scale that the decision making goes to that VCs. So you should always be very much clear with them that right from day one to day Z, the day they exit the business, I will be the managing director of the company and not you. But again, these all thing comes with a lot of negotiation. What is your financial status? What is your capability? What is your growth statement, your vision, your product, your service? So if everything is positive on your side, you can definitely negotiate with the VCs. Otherwise, they would negotiate with you and they would take the charge of the company, and you would not be able to make take the decisions as per your mind. Again, you also need to define the returns that needs to be given. If generally it is very much observed that every entrepreneur works on a fixed system while starting, they if they are agreeing that 10% of the sharing would go to VC and 90% after expenditure, net profit 90% would come to the promoter, or maybe say 60/40, 30/70, whatsoever is the defined term. But when the company grows to below one stage, so when you are at growth stage 2, growth stage 3, at that time your uh, profit margin would be much higher than what it used to be in growth stage 1. So initially someone might have agreed for 50/50% sharing, but it should be negotiated every now and then. When you are at growth stage 2, then you need to negotiate with the financiers or the funding agencies that now we are at one of the threshold level. Now we are able to reach the break even, or maybe we have reached the break even. So now our ratio would change. I would take 60% and give you 40%, not the 50/50 thing. these kind of ratios, most of entrepreneurs seem to think that would not be the right thing to talk to the investors like that, or may not be the real. I mean, they would never agree because already their fund is inside and they are dominating the thing. But it is never like that. It is your business, it is your enterprise, and you can change and you can dominate the rules and regulations anytime you want. And again, if you are at growth level 2, then will be a line of investors. Investors would line up in your office to for further investment. At that time, you can release the investment of first VC or AI and take another VC or AI who would definitely agree to your terms. So few things you should always go for non-disclosure agreement when you sign such VC or AIs, because it should not happen that after a period of time you are losing them or you are leaving them or they are exiting your business, and again they will start some such kind of idea with some other promoters, or even they themselves would do such kind of thing. But again, I would say you should always share the true facts, never hide or cheat or lie. You can technically never fool them out because they will catch you technically as well as financially. They have got such kind of connections in the market. We are very, I mean, as a single entrepreneur or a group of 2 or 3 promoters, our vision or our knowledge about the finance and technical matters may not be as good as their VC's technical expertise, because they have team of it and they have invested in more so many companies, so they also know what kind of loopholes this one-time promoter can do. So they will catch you today or tomorrow. So never cheat or lie or hide to them. You show all the true facts, even if there are so many threats in the business that may you may feel like, if I will show such kind of threats, then they may not invest. But then also you show them threats in beginning. Don't wait for the time to come, because at that time when you would show the threats, then they would say, why didn't you tell me this thing earlier? Why are you telling me this thing now when you knew it very earlier? And by telling them earlier, they can give us solutions to the threats and maybe help us converting that into opportunities. So again, uh, there are types of funding. Seed stage funding is when you want to start something and someone is funding in your investment. That is seed stage funding. And startup funding, most of big companies are now investing into startups and the early stage startups. Now they are not funding seed stage and first stage, because the mortality rate of both the stages is very high, because you have a view of the product or service and you just think that market would be so rosy and so good, and you are asking for the investors to invest. So they are like they want most of good angel investors or the catalysts are looking for second stage and expansion stage investor investing. They are into investment. Again, the fourth stage is a bridge stage, wherein not just one or two, a pool of investors would come in that stage, and they would negotiate internally for your company that for one some project. Say for so many big giant companies, say for example Swiggy, they are into bridge stage. So not just one. They don't have just one funding agency or one business investor in their thing. They have so many investors, and these investors would talk amongst themselves and will plan a strategy of exit strategy of one investor, input inward strategy of some other one. So bridge stage is again really a stage where you are at one top level and you don't need to, I mean, you are dominating your own market and you just ask VCs to work on your modules and on your pattern, not on their patterns. But again, I would say, even if you need or not, you should always first show your project report to any of the bankers, because the bankers are the most rigid people. As when we say in terms of checking the health checkup, when we say I'm general body checkup hota hai, वैसे if we have a general health checkup of our enterprise, then we should first of all go to banks. They are the most rigid people who would check each and everything. They would check of your, I mean, on your repayment capability, on your growth capability, and then they will lend the fund. Even if you don't need the funds, you should once go to banks for the loan, and you should need to check the things. Also, sometimes we may laugh that some bankers are not good at replying, and there are so many jokes ongoing for the bankers, especially SBI, that you go and there is lunch break, but that helps you with developing the patience. That it happens that when you are going to an investor or business incubator, and you are proposing 4 to 5 times your ideas, then also they are not replying. So these are the kind of virtues you need to have. But again, before going to any VCs or any of the investors, you need to have mock rounds. You need to have mock rounds with your own team or maybe someone you know. So you would you should always face the questions, the most toughest questions, before you go to any investor. So you are very much ready with the questions and very much ready with the answers. But again, even if a VC is investing in your firm or not, you can always ask them for your connections to help their connections for your. Uh, who got some good connections with some of the industries, or they have already invested in some of the other firms which may be of some use to you, then you can definitely ask them for connections. You can ask them for for them to connect you to that firm. Again, very much good thing about VCs and AI is they are going to fund high risk profiles, which bankers don't do. Or maybe sometimes we are not so sure that there is some new, absolutely newly developed service or a product. Say, for example, when Ola or Uber was very much new to the market, anyone would never knew that how will this kind of thing work, whether it will work or not. So at that such kind of ideas, VCs and AI are the very much helpful people who would invest even if the risk of the business going to succeed is very, very high. Again, rather than going for individual entrepreneurial fund or bootstrapping or family and crowdfunding, you can go to VCs or AIs when you foresee that your long-term business requirement would need lot of funds in different growth level stages. At that time, VCs and AIs are the one who would help you out, because they don't have any shortage to funds. In fact, they have much and much more access to funds. Again, some good VCs investing in your firm would generate a value of your firm. Maybe it would create a brand value. You might have heard that Ratan Tata invested in XYZ firm, or Azim Premji Wipro is investing in that startup. Google is investing in some Indian startup. So what does that mean? That means that the startup has automatically got the brand value of Google or maybe Ratan Tata with the name that is going to be aligned with them. Again, these VCs and AIs have got a very good, I mean, technical as well as financial know-how. So if you are at, I mean, at some lower part in your financials, or you don't know how to work out on few of the things, or break even, or maybe the ROI and ROE and all factors, then they would be helping you with all these kind of things. Apart from this thing, how can a VC help us? They would bring a stability in our organization. They would not allow us to take haphazard decisions which we as an entrepreneur would take. So they would definitely bring a stability to our organization. They would bring a system process define system and process driven system in our firm. Again, it would be, they would help us getting on very economical path. They would not allow us to deviate from what we have earlier thought about using spending the money. Again, ecologically, sociologically, ethically, some of the VCs are very complex and very accurate about this thing. So this kind of VCs can also help us in uh, developing a good branding or good process designing it for our own company. Again, competitors and competition. When we talk about such people, there is always competition in any of the businesses. So such kind of in such cases, VCs and AIs are the good people. I mean, best support that you can have for getting one contract where you are not getting. I mean, where you are getting 10% margins, and you think some competition is there, then VCs may take in the chance to help you take that project at 0% margin, and then also they will offer you 5%. This VCs will offer you 5% for your, I mean, products, this investment, or maybe the thing which we are doing. So even at, again I'll explain, if there is competition in some place, then we would never go lesser than 10% or 8% of the margins. Then this VCs would say, tell us that you absolutely quote at 0% margin. Then also VC uh, would give us 5% margins, just because they want us to get that thing, or get that order, or get that thing done, get that contract signed with us. So what they will get from this is they are going, they are visualizing the next level growth stage after you complete this one order or one thing. So these are the benefits we would have of having access to good funds. As I said, they would help us in expertise of the financial and technical matters, and mainly they would help us set us profits and targets. Most of our small scale companies have a target of only 5 to 10 times of what we can think about. So if we have invested 10 crores, then our target would be to get 100 crores, not more than that. Most of firms vision die at 10x times what they can do. But these VCs are thousands and lakh crores company, or maybe they are in that segment. When they have seen people achieving targets of 100 times what they have ever thought about. So good thing about is they are going to invest more money if they think that this is really the right thing and the right product or the right market they are in, we are catering. Then they will infuse more and more money and help us achieve getting more profits, and they would help us set up bigger targets. Again, if as an individual we may not innovate and upgrade ourselves, but this VC is being into so many other businesses as well. Again, we may not upgrade our software of accounting, but they know what new accounting software is ongoing in the market, and they may buy bulk packages for all the firms they have invested in. So such kind of innovation and upgradation things happens when we are associated with any of the VCs or AIs. And as I earlier said, they give us alignment in the directions that how to move the system driven process, and everything is defined. When we say series of funding, if they are not able to go for the second round series, they would definitely help someone out. I mean, they would connect us with other VCs or other AIs. They are not like jealous kind of people. Most of the time it has been seen that at one point of time, if they get saturated with the funds, they would again ask for some other VC to jointly fund the thing, or maybe they would exit the thing, and they would just hand over the whole if your indulgence is not enough, then they would include in day-to-day activities as well, and you would, I mean, practically, go. I mean, let go the hold of your own company, and they would be like bureaucratic obstacles, because any big decision or any major decision having such some kind of financial inclusions into it. I mean, if even if you are your own company is like 100,000 crore company, and you have you are getting investment of another 1,000 crore companies from VCs. At such point of time, even if you want to invest 5 lakh rupees to some local gaushada, then you need to ask them. You cannot donate, start on giving donations without their permission. So even when you are a 1,000 crore company on your own, you cannot donate 5 lakh rupees also. Such kind of obstacles you would definitely have when you have some third party investing in our firms. again there would be some kind of complexities. They would not they would work on very system driven processes. So in some times or some places we work on relations, especially in Saurashtra region of Gujarat, we mostly work on relations, but they don't understand the thing. It happens with the thing that long term basis, some clients you may leave and some clients may leave you just because you don't understand the local language of business, that is a relation. Earlier it used to be that we are working only on advance payment terms, but when someone is buying 1 crore rupee of material and only 5,000 rupees is short in their account, or they have made short payment of 5,000 rupees, then we may allow to flow to get to sell the 1 crore rupee material, because they have already paid only 5,000 rupees is pending, rest all the amount they have paid. But when such kind of VCs or such kind of people come, they don't even allow that. Minus negative billing is not allowed. So until and unless they don't give us another 5,000 rupees, we won't leave the material, we won't let them go out with the material of 1 crore rupees. So now this is really a complex thing. You sometimes need to understand that someone is really giving us so much of business, so for such a small amount we cannot have such kind of complexities with them. Again, sooner or later, if you ever have dispute with VCs, they are having enough of funds, they are having enough of legal cells, having enough of legal profiles in their own company, whereas we will be totally fighting on our own with our own funds, and also hiring lawyers from outside, which may be very, very costly to us. So we need to think over it. So there is a myth that VCs in AI are very much less risky as compared to banks, because bank may come and seize your properties, but these people won't be able to do, because they have invested. What have we invested? We are not investing anything. They are investing totally in our firm. So we are at zero risk. No, it is not like that. Easy availability of funds is one of the very risky and very bad thing happening right now in Indian startup ecosystem. Anyone who is not even capable of getting 5 lakh rupees can easily get 1 crore rupees in today's market, as per what market is right now. Again, most of time startups are into running game for finances, and they don't even know what they're going to do with the financing. If you really are in need of 1 crore rupees, and if someone give you 50 crore rupees at a time, I am very much sure no one will have idea what other money they would be using it for. So when you have something in your mind and you get 10x the money that you require, you are definitely going to spend it in the other way that it should not be used. This money was definitely for a purpose of expansion of business. Then people start building good offices, start buying new cars, and after all, at the time of exit of VCs, or maybe at the time of returning the money, everything is at zero valued, because everything is so depreciated. So flooding of Indian market with money is one of the risks that the startup ecosystem is having, and entrepreneurs sooner or later need to understand that it is not a good thing, or is not a good sign. As the we have never heard that someone declaring in the open thing that I'm good getting bank loan of 5. But that is really a not good thing, because you are actually diluting your stake, diluting your equity in the thing, or you are at least sharing the profit. Then what is the happy thing about it? So we need to be less happy for getting money from outsiders, and less we should talk about it in open general forum, that we are getting it is not a good sign that you are getting 5 crore rupees from someone else's and you are using for your own business. I mean, not good sign in the way. After all, you are liquidating the things, you are liquidating your ratio profit sharing or something you are giving to them. That is why they are investing in your firm. So you need to understand that thing, that it is very much as similar to as a bank loan or any other sources of funds that you are getting. So also we need to we people think that VCs would stay here forever. No, they have fixed exit plan. Even if you grow or you don't, they have both the lines managed. When they are investing 1 crore, they have lines. They have very much fixed plans in mind that if this firm goes below 50 lakhs, we are going to exit the firm even at loss. But then we will be exiting the company. And also they have growth. Also they have specified time frame that 3 years down the line we will be exiting the firm, or 5 years down the line we will be exiting the firm, or maybe turnover if it crosses 1000 crore rupees we will be exiting the firm after taking so much of share and this much of share. So exit plans you need to discuss with your investors while very much in the basic level, because when you start, when you are at zero, you don't know at what scale you are going to grow in next few years. So but then also you need to talk the exit plans with them in advance. Again, one bad thing about easy availability of funds in the market is that so many people have started trying hands on new businesses. Now what happens at the age of 25 or 30, they are starting new business. At the age of 35, they come to know that business or entrepreneurship is not their cup of tea, or maybe their idea was not that good enough, or because they are getting easy funds from VCs, they think I'm not going to invest my own any money, so I'm not at loss. But you are at loss because you are spending your time, the valuable time from 30 20 age 25 to 35. That is the most crucial time for growth, and you are just trying something out. And if it that doesn't work out at the age of 35, you won't be having any of the further money from VCs, not be having any other options to where to go or what to do, not having any other good job options. So don't just take it so lightly that we are getting funds. That means we need to try something on, or we should try something on. No, it doesn't work out that way. You really need to have a seriousness of the idea and the long-term plans and long-term growth plans, or the failure plans. What if I don't succeed? Then how much time? Uh, that I have already covered the suggestions you declare.
Yes.
So you should always have mock rounds before you go to the real investor. So you get so many different suggestions from the people that you are showing this kind of proposals to. And again, always pitch with the whole team. Not never go alone for pitching, because when the person comes, when the investor sees the team, the his interest is much more higher than he when he talks with one person of just one person of the team. So always go for pitching with the whole team. That is much more effective in getting the investment rather than going alone. Because when you go as a team, they would be able to meet you all and would able to come to know that one of the person is very good at computers, one of the person is very good at pitching, one of the person is very good at technical level, one is very good at financial level. So whenever you go, you should always go if you have a team. I mean, I'm not saying that you form a team just for this thing, but if you have a team, then always go and pitch with the whole team. Again, as I said, slide preparation is one of the critical thing when you go over there, because they are not going to let you read the slides, or they are going to technically discuss with you the products or the services that you offer. So be very much, sharp and very much to the point, and very much up to the mark when you are pitching for something. And again, be humble and natural. That is the best thing and most required suggestion to today's generation, that you need to be humble and natural. You don't need to show off that you are already having so much of other businesses of your own family, and if you don't get this, then I also have my own this kind of thing and that kind of thing. No, that doesn't work out that way. uh, we can talk about so many other things, but as I said, there are so many topics that could be talked about on entrepreneurial ecosystem, and I have just selected one of the topic, that is financing, or the fundings that would be required by thing, and the real scenario of Indian market. So I think I don't have much to say, but I would again say the selling and these VCs are very much interested in developing a value of the company. They are not very much related to what value it is bringing to you as an entrepreneur, or your product, or your company's name. It was a very old movie in 1990, a Pretty Woman. There is a movie named Pretty Woman. You could even in that era, that was, the one of the lead actor was like buying and selling of companies at that time. So this is not a new thing. So investors are mostly focused towards developing the value of the company, irrespective of the real scenario. Swiggy and Zomato, even though making losses, if you go and sell these companies, they would be sold at more than 1 lakh crore rupees. But we as an entrepreneur need to think that whatever we do must build either of the three things. It must either build the company, good company name, or the brand name of our company, or maybe it should make our products famous, or it should make us as entrepreneurs to be very famous. Say, for example, Parleji. So the product itself is very famous. Say in some cases, when we say Ratan Tata, or maybe when we say some Akshay Kumar as actor, his personal branding is so greatly done, that he's a good he's investing in so many other startups as well, we talk about Akshay Kumar. But then what he has done is developed a good personal brand. Parleji or any other things, when we send Nescafe, they have built a very good product brands. And Tatas and these all have developed a very good company as a brand image. So whatever you do should either create either of your name, or your product's name, or your company's name to such a height that after a while everyone should come to know that, okay, this is the man, or this is the product, or this is the company I'm associated with. Otherwise, these VCs may come and go, but what we need to see is the stability of our company on the long-term basis. We can have a general talk session related to entrepreneurship, or especially finance right now, as we have enough of time.
Yes, yes, sir. You have few more minutes, or you can take 10-15 minutes more if the participants are interested, and if you are willing to share that.
There are so many things about the entrepreneurship I can share and could carry on. Uh, just hold on. Just a minute. So when we talk about when I talk personally about my own experiences as an entrepreneur, that entrepreneurship or being an entrepreneur is really a very beautiful journey. And if we have a long-term vision, and or if we start developing vision, we may not have the vision from the beginning. But if we start developing the vision on the every step, at one growth step, if you plan a vision for the next step, then that would be really very impactful of you as an entrepreneur. And we small entrepreneurs or mid-sized entrepreneurs build the whole Indian ecosystem. Whole Indian economy is based not on this big corporate giants, but is very much dependent on our this thing, mid-sized companies or small-sized companies. And again, we as an entrepreneurs, the Indian ecosystem of entrepreneurs is so well known all over the world that the most of the companies that are funding today in the Indian market comes with a fund from abroad entities. They already take 400, 500, 1,000 crores from some abroad companies, and they then invest in bits and parts in Indian companies. So that is a good uh, uh, brand image of our Indian startup ecosystem, Indian entrepreneurial ecosystem all over the world. That's a really good sign for us. And again, there is going to be a lot of competition everywhere, so we need to also manage in good way. We can have co-manufacturing concepts. I so many times talk about this thing, that we, rather than fighting with our competitors, we can have a concept of co-manufacturing, especially when you are into long-term or business where you are in big geographical area. Say for example, my own business, when I would say we are into a very low cost product, we are into a product which is 20 rupees per kg. So when we shift this material from here to Kerala, the transport price comes out to be 8 rupees. So our product reaches Kerala at 28 rupees. So rather than me sending my material from here, what I have done is I have started the concept of co-manufacturing, not job work kind of thing, but only for that specific one requirement, or one set of requirement of that one requirement of 1,000 tons. I visit some party over manufacturer of my scale over there and would talk to them that why don't you supply material to my clients over here. That again comes with a agreement that they won't be pitching to my clients again. So lifetime security is what you get in the beginning. And second thing, rather than sending material at 28 rupees, you can get it from local market at 20 rupees plus 2 3 rupees their profit margin. So and 1 or 2 rupees local transportation. So even after that, it would be cheaper, that it would be reaching at for example 24 25 rupees. Then also you will be saving 3 rupees per kg. And when we say 3 rupees per kg in 30 rupees product is the 10% of the profit margins. So just by eliminating competitors, you can get 10% of more margins than what you expected. Second thing, we can get a technology know-how from them. We can share, we can, I mean, being in the same field, we can have discussions on the new technologies or new technical equipments that they are procuring or we are procuring. So this ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem, is so good here in India. It is nowhere followed all over the world. People just take the examples of our Indian business people or Indian entrepreneurs for such cases, that they have the vision to grab the market without fighting the competitors. So this is how the things work. And again, when I said in suggestions part that be humble and natural, that is the most critical thing someone could ever think about. Because whenever you want to grow, most after pricing and all is irrelevant. If you are not good at talking and someone is offering you at someone who is very humble at talking, even if they are offering the material at 2 or 3% higher prices, people would go to them because they would get respect. They would like to talk to that person. So be humble. And again, a very small example I generally often give on being humble, that when you are selling a product kind of Parleji product which is costing 5 rupees, so it is at 5 rupees in any shop you go. So if there are two shops adjacent and you are going to one person who is very rude and saying you need to bring change if you want such kind of 5 rupee product, so then you would never like to go to that shop again. And if the shop very much adjacent to that shop offers the same 5 rupee change, he would be offering, and smilingly he asks, what else do you need? If you don't have cash, give it to some other day, give it to me on some other day, or maybe you keep it here, you can take it afterwards, or any such good behavior or humbleness would always attract people. So many times you might have seen that some medical stores work on where people are flowing in, and some medical stores are really empty, no clients moving over there. So generally, such kind of things happens, and in real life, this is very much an we see, especially venture capitalists and incubators, always see they are mostly investing in the people, not in the businesses. First of all, they look at you, your attitude, your behavior, your talking sense, your uh, sense of talking to your customers, or someone maybe higher than you or maybe lower than you, and then they judge whether to invest in this business or not. So such kind of behavioral patterns are very much necessary when you are going for a growth based business. Sometimes you may feel when you are 100 crores company and you are very much settled in your own business, sometimes you may think that no one is at your par in your business. But when you look at the global level, there are thousands and thousands of crores companies, and their managing director or CEOs are much more humble than what we are. And that is a virtue everyone should have to build up a good enterprise on long term. In talking specifically about my own case, we are into supplies to government tenders, and we have state level contracts. So we have got contract of Assam, Tripura, Orissa, and Kerala, and Karnataka Power Corporation, Punjab Power Corporation. So in between, there are so many other manufacturers that would come. But then also we are getting these tenders because of two things: our willingness to communicate to our competitors that why are you quoting this tender when we are going to procure material from you, and we are going to make you payment on the spot in advance, and you are going to get, if you quote the tender, you are going to get some bigger margins, but then you will be getting payment. You need to understand what is the missing factor for that other competitor. Sometimes finance is the missing factor. They don't have much of the finances, so at that time you can offer that we will pay you in advance, and we will quote the tender, and we will supply material from by taking it from you, and we will invest it for next 3 months, and we will get department payments from the department after 3 months. So we will be investing. You cut down on your profits, but then you will get advance payment from us. So in sometimes some big manufacturers are not looking for payment or anything. They want more and more sales. So in such cases, you can also help them boosting their sales by getting few of the tenders in their nearby areas, and they would be very happy. They would be. I would take one example. That one Vishakhapatnam steel plant was one of our client. They used to always bifurcate the tenders into two different parties: 70% to the lowest one and 30% to the second lowest one, provided he agrees to supply the material on the lowest person's rate. So now what happens is, after one or two tenders, one of the local party is a manufacturer over there, and always being a local party and our product being a low cost product, they used to get the tender 70%, and we used to get the other 30% at their rates. So once I called him that why are we both fighting for one tender based on the rates? We don't want to cartel. We don't want to sell the 100 rupee product at 110 to them. But why are we both selling it at 95 rupees rather than going it for 100 rupees? So that is how the things worked out. And then he quoted 100 rupees, I quoted 102 rupees, and we both supplied at 100 rupees. He got his own 70% as he used to get. I knew that he is going to get the tender because being a local party, he is much more capable to supply the material because transport factor, freight factor is very less. So at one point of time, the same material now we are supplying at par market rates. Again, good thing about is when you are humble and when you go and have such kind of concepts of co-manufacturing with your competitors, now we are not even manufacturing the other 30% at our places. That 30% is also being manufactured at his own premises, and he's supplying 70% by his name and 30% by our name, and not even asking for any of the advances to us. So the scenario was, earlier we were investing and again working at lower prices, and again getting payments delayed from the department. And now the scenario is, and we were also using our manufacturing capability at that time. now the CNAs, we are getting 30% at par market rate of 100 rupees and not even investing a single penny for that tender. And then also we are getting profit shares. So this is how things work out. We need to work with the other people in one linear dimension, that both the parties should enjoy the thing, and it should always be a win-win situation, not just that you get your stake and the other party starts crying. So there are so many other examples I can go to, but now looking at time, if we have any things we can have mutual talk or any question or answer, we can go for that.
Participants, if you have any question, need to interact regarding VC or investment, or how to pitch, or what to when to go for funding requirements, you can unmute yourself and ask to sir, or you can either write it down in the chat box. I hope you all understood what I asked. If you have any questions, you can write it in the chat box, or either you can unmute yourself and ask. Even if you have any feedback regarding the sessions that has been conducted, you can share us. Okay. So I feel that you don't have any questions regarding investment in the startups, or uh, pitching for the venture capitalist, right? Pitching against VC. Okay. We thanks Mr. Vishal Sarvaiya for sharing a very deep and insightful content, that how to pitch, what to pitch, and what to expect, what the things need to be taken care while asking for the fundings from VCs or AIs, right? And very interesting session was delivered by you, sir. We thank you on behalf of Saurashtra University and IIC. We will surely be in future also be connected for various events, and
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay, so, and to all the participants, we will be sharing you the feedback link regarding today. I think there is some question from Rekha Saunani. We are not able to see the question. You can unmute yourself, or you can either retype the question if you have any. Rekha Saunani, if you have any question, you can either write it in the chat box, or either unmute yourself. Okay, so participants will be sharing you the feedback link for today's session, and you will be receiving the certificate of participation by filling that feedback link. And today we end the impact lecture series by the delivering the 4 lectures of various field and various persons who delivered the lecture on various topics. We thank you all to stay connected with us, and thank you, sir, for being here. Thank you. I am ending this meeting now.
Thank you.